Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, I have an absolutely amazing game changer on the show. Her name is Aunt Sue. She is the founder of BIATCH Tequila. You can see the bottle in her in the screen when she starts talking and the camera pans over to her. But for those of you who do not know Aunt Sue, she is the founder and visionary behind this new tequila brand, which is 100% women-owned. It fuses premium product quality with a mission of female empowerment and a bold brand identity. I was literally telling her before we started recording that I want a statue of her bottle, like 3-foot, 4-foot statue in my garden. It's an iconic lip-shaped bottle that's been in media placements in music videos and film.
Yes.
It's positioned to disrupt a $400 billion spirits industry with unapologetic flair and cultural relevance. And something else that's very interesting is everyone told her she would have to do tastings to grow her brand to what it is today. And she's never done one. And it is that iconic. So, ladies and gents, the entrepreneurial mastermind, Aunt Sue.
Hello. Thank you, Adi. This is so much fun. I'm so glad to be on the show. And like I was saying before we got on, you know, that 4-foot, I do have a big, huge bar downstairs that we use for Art Basel that's 7 feet by 2 feet. And it's the big rendition of our special edition bottle, the pink one or the red one, because look, you have red lips. Nothing is more iconic than red lips, right? So that's what we did, and then we called it biatch. So in terms of irreverence and things of that sort, it's crazy.
Well, what I love about you is you made the brand align with your personal brand. Like you were telling me yesterday how you were in Turkey and you were unapologetically dressed like a gorgeous European rather than trying to be in like sweats and sneakers and a hoodie. You own your femininity. And you've been in some very male dominated spaces. Like you even have a pink hard hat.
Yeah, I do.
I love that.
I have a pink hard hat because my previous life, I was actually in oil, gas, and utilities, right? So I talk about, you can't get any more male oriented than that. And not only that, I was in what's called supply chain management, and it's and also maintenance management. So the people that maintain the big plants, I was there. And you know, I had to wear a hard hat. I actually had my high heel shoes actually had steel toed, so I could be cute still and be in compliance with being on the floor. And then, you know, when the guys would come, they're like, "Oh, can we carry your suitcase? Can we carry your computer?" Hell yeah! If I don't have to carry it, go up the stairs, and heck yeah, why wouldn't I? So, you know, in Adi, like this is one thing that I think is missing, and that's part of the reason behind the brand is that we're getting away from that being feminine, right? It's beautiful to be a woman, and I'm proud to be a woman. And you know how hard it is, women in business. It's really hard. And so what I'm doing is I am trying to give an opportunity to women to actually invest. Like you were saying, you know, this is a woman-owned business. And not only is it woman-owned, but I also have all of my initial investors are only women. Only
Wow.
women.
Wow. That's huge because there are a lot of women-owned businesses and then every investor is a guy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, that was my whole career. I would sit in a room, and I had an office in Abu Dhabi, in Oman, and also in the US where all the oil was, right? And I would sit in the room and I would be the only woman. And of course, I'd be answering all the questions because that was my expertise. So it's kind of funny. I feel comfortable in that environment. I don't, you know, I know what I am. I know what I know. I walk in and own the room, and yes, I wear pink, and yes, I wear glitter, and I always wear high heels. I don't dress conservative because you know what? Why should I?
I think it's funny, like growing up in the commercial real estate space, it's so male dominated. And I'll walk into a meeting and I'll sit down next to someone who's working on a multi-billion-dollar real estate project, but they're my godfather. And I don't even think anything of it. And people are like, "Oh, do you know that guy?" And I'm like, "Well, he was like there when I was born and he helped raise me." Like, I go to him for advice when I'm getting bullied. And it's getting to, I think, getting to own your femininity in a male dominated space. It also requires you to be around very high quality men.
Yes.
Like, there are certain men that I know when I work with them, they'll come up to me and they'll say, "That guy that's like being very nice to you right now is going to roofie your drink. Do not let him get you anything from the bar."
Ooh.
Like it takes having high quality guys around us for us to be able to walk into the male dominated rooms and feel safe.
Right. Absolutely. And the other thing is, all in my career, it's always been about, they think I'm one of the guys, so they feel comfortable talking. And it's funny, I'm in an entrepreneur group. I've been in an entrepreneur group for like 26 years. And when I go to these things, I'm usually hanging out with the guys because all of them are business people. But then I get in my girl group, and it was funny. Some guy asked me one time, he's like, "Do you know any women that aren't successful?" I'm like, why would I hang out with unsuccessful women? He's like, "Yeah, but they're all badasses." And I'm like, "Yes, we are. Yes, we are."
Yeah. I love it when guys meet my girlfriends and they're like, "Every woman that you know is a sleeping dragon." Like, like Bayer executive, past president of one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies. We go to Megyn Kelly's 4th of July party. Who else? Like, every woman I know, they're like, I consider them just like amazing women, and people are like terrified of them. Like, they're just like a force and a hurricane. But I love that. Although I'd say it does take more time to find those women.
Yes, absolutely. And it takes people like you and I met at a dinner at the 1640 Society dinner. And I actually spoke at the 1640 last year in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
And, just being around those people, and then we gravitate towards other really strong women and tell a story, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's a person I want to know better. That's a person who I trust within my circle of friends too," because hanging out look, I know plenty of celebs and billionaires and things of that sort. I don't need clout chasing people. Like, we go in, and it's really funny because I know so many people, and someone's like, "Do you know that they're blah blah blah?" I'm like, kind of like with you and your godfather. I'm like, "No, I never really asked them about that, but oh, okay." And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay, I'll hang out with them then.
I was hanging out with one person. My friend was like, "You have to meet this guy. You're gonna love him. You're gonna be great friends." And so we go to the event. We finally end up connecting at the event. And someone comes up to me later and they were like, "Do you know he's one of the wealthiest people in America?" I was like, "Oh, he's really funny." Okay, cool. But I love the caliber of people you get exposed to at the Opal Group events, Judson Capital, 1640 Society. And the other thing that I love about that level is people are everyone's an industry titan.
Yeah.
Everyone. So
Yeah.
no one is going to sit there and try to have a petty pissing match with you, because once you get to the international level where you're playing at the international, in the international arena, everyone collaborates.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
you've gone through all of the arenas to get to this level where people are like, "Oh, if you're here, you're a force to be reckoned with. I want to be your friend."
Right.
And so it's getting to that level is hard. But once you're there, my God, you get to be surrounded by just amazing people. Like Sarah, you connected with.
Yeah. And Sarah's already, we're already texting on the side and all that. And it's amazing. And I'm a big person, put things out in the net, in the universe, right? And so I'll say, "Oh, I want to meet so and so." And then what'll happen is, it's so weird. And I tell everyone, do this, because what is spoken is done, right? If
Yeah.
you speak it and you speak it into the universe, someone's going to hear it, whether they're in the room right now or like they might have heard it subliminally, but they know. And then, you know, because I did that same thing with someone. I was like, oh, I really need to get in front of this person. And a week later, don't you know, they're like, oh, by the way, I know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait, did you hear me saying something? I said, I said something yesterday. It was so funny.
Quantum physics.
Yeah, exactly. Master's degree of mathematics. So I know all about that.
Oh, yeah. I had one friend, she's like, you go through hell. Like, you literally go through hell. You face the darkest people. You have to see the darkest of humanity. And then you come out and you mentor us, other women who are going through something that's like a fraction of what you just endured. Like, how are you calm through that? It was like, it's quantum meditation. I literally close my eyes. I pretend I'm 5 days into the future. And what am I telling myself? Like that version of me telling myself now.
No, that's smart. My big thing is that if I look at it within 6 months later or a year later, is that really going to matter? And I don't sweat. I don't sweat the small stuff. I'm like, I'm on. I don't hang out with anything that's like drama and all that, because it's draining, and it doesn't get me to where I want to get, which is $1 billion industry here. Come on.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that completely. I have friends who are like drama queens. Like, they will set fire to someone's personal life. And people will be like, how is it that you're friends with them and they don't destroy anything for you, but they've literally wreaked havoc on like everyone else's personal life? It was like, as soon as they want to start drama, they know I'm out the door.
Yeah.
Zero tolerance.
Yeah.
I'm very, very like strict about that. Like my personal, my professional brand, if people want to have a cat fight in public, I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's you don't have time for it.
Right.
And when you get to this level, I mean, my God, could you imagine if anything were to happen, people would be like, that's the founder of BIATCH Tequila.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that's like, that's nice once you get here is like, we're under a microscope and we have to be on and professional regardless of the public setting. But we also get to, because of that self-discipline, we get to hang out with amazing change makers. Like, how often do you sit next to someone who could literally pick up the call and make or break an economy with one phone call?
Right, for sure.
You can't change, like, ladies and gents, if you don't have those friends yet, like, there's nothing greater than that. Because the positive changes you can make, what you get to do with your life, it's different. It's completely
well, and I think, you know, for us, we're never thinking about like the short term. Ours is always long term. And kind of like what you were saying, I treat everyone the same. And it's really funny because, you know, I have a big social media following, you know, almost 40,000 people. And so I'll meet people anywhere. And like my cousins, because I'll be with my cousin. She goes, can we go somewhere where somebody doesn't know you? Like, it'll be some random person, right? And you know, the thing is you don't know. You have to be nice to the janitor. You have to be nice to that waiter, to whatever, because you, like you were saying, that microscope, you don't know who they are. And really, what good is it? We don't need to treat people badly. They might be having a bad day, and you can say, hey, I empathize with you. You might be having a bad day, but I didn't cause it. So please don't make me like the, you know, pincushion and all that, you know, but we really have to be on at all times, for sure.
Yeah. The one liner that I use if someone's lashing out at me after they had a bad day, I'm like, you know, if you're angry with your allies, you will soon be surrounded by enemies.
Wow.
I just say it very calmly, and then they take a pause, because if they're going through a bad time that's putting them in a bad mood, they need allies.
Yeah,
they really need allies. But yeah, it's an interesting world. So okay, we got completely off topic. Let's go back to, we actually have some questions to get through here. So
sure.
You had a successful career in ERP consulting, and then you switched into the spirits industry. What inspired that?
Well, My big thing is I've always been into women empowerment, right? Yes, I had a successful company that I sold back in 2017. It was in oil and gas. And after I sold that, I was like, okay, well, what do you do? And do you know this from working with people? There's no such thing as when you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur always. Like
Yeah.
you can't retire. Like that's the biggest for, like, you can't, like, you go from 1,000 miles an hour. Now I don't have that company, but I'm still wanting to go 1,000 miles.
Yeah,
So
your brain's wired.
yeah, exactly. And I don't sleep anyway. So, I'm a 4-hour sleeper.
You are?
Yes, absolutely. 4 hours.
Oh my God.
Yes. So
How?
I don't know. I've just been like that my whole entire life since I was little. I don't sleep, but I sleep. When I sleep, I sleep. But in the big thing, what for me was, okay, how can I meld what I've been doing with ERP, which is supply chain management, and working with big companies and all that, and then my passion for women entrepreneurship. I'm an investor in 15 women-owned companies, and I do a lot of mentoring, and these are pre-A round people. So, I work with them, and I'm like, okay, I've helped all these people. Why don't I do something? So I came into a bottle, and I was like, oh, I can make a brand out of this. I'm very good at branding. And so I did a little research. These bottles that we have, like we did them all from scratch. So every engineering, and remember, my background is basically engineering and mathematics.
Oh
So you've got these little bottles. I knew these little bottles would do well. And I know what women want, right? And again, I'm going in from a male-oriented, male-dominated industry of oil and gas. And then I go into liquor that is a male-dominated industry. And not only male-dominated from the distributor perspective, but also from the marketing. If you think about it, what other liquor is marketed to us women? Well,
Yeah.
like nothing except Bethany Frankel's Skinny, but she sold it 10, 11 years ago, something like that. And ever since then, there's nothing. We women are supposed to be drinking champagne, and we're supposed to drink pink wine, rosé wine. Well, I said I want to get into spirits, and look, we've got a product. So I built the brand, and again, all of my connections in, like you were saying, in the movies and the music industry and whatnot really helped me to get into utilizing some of those people. So I always liken this, we started this about 3 years ago, but we didn't come out till last July. And when we came out, it was like I had a band, like I was like developing an artist, and then it was my big album release.
Yeah.
By the time my big album release got there, everyone was like so excited about it. And then so we had that momentum. And then I'm very good at the marketing. And since then, we're doing a lot of digital marketing. And from the digital marketing, we just got more and more and more and more. And then you run into the weirdest people in places. Like I was getting my hair done the other day, and this lady, I gave my hairdresser, 2 of these. So we have these 2 little biatches. So this lady's like, oh, I know that brand, BIATCH Tequila. So I went over and I said, oh, how do you know it? She goes, I own a liquor store. We just ordered them for Mother's Day, and they sold out within, an hour of opening. And I was like, okay, buy some more, girlfriend. They were so intrigued by it. They're like amazed by, because again, we were saying woman, it's for women by women. It's not some man created it and said, oh, you're a girl, you need to do this. And everything we do, like it's all about females and all about the woman. And again, so just taking my business acumen, which is I'm very standard operating procedures, right? SOP is number one. And especially in a maintenance management, you're going into these big plants, and everything is checklist. And same thing with business. We have our cadence 3 times a week. I meet with my my C-suite. I meet with PR once a week. I meet with, our digital media people. Like everything is about a cadence, and everything is about measuring every single day. Every single day by 6 a.m. I get my numbers and I can figure out, okay, what do we need to adjust for the today and every day. And you can't let up.
I think that's a huge thing that a lot of early stage entrepreneurs don't get right. They think that launching their startup is about emotion and feeling and artistry, and it's about the emotions of your customers and your standard operating procedures. I have a playbook, go-to-market strategy playbook. I'm like, look, guys, if you follow this, they're like, how'd you launch that company so fast and this one so fast and this one so fast? It's like, this is the playbook. Just follow it. I have a friend, he has a non-alcoholic beverage company, and he's like, my company just needs investors. It just needs investors. I was like, did you implement anything in that playbook? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, great. Where are your 8 podcast interviews? He's like, I haven't done that yet. And I was like, so you have no PR? It's like, no. And it was like, what else did you skip from the playbook? And he's like, I'll go back and look at the playbook. It was like, until you prove to investors that you can do the bare basics to get your company off the ground, they're not coming for you. They're not. They want to hire an adult who knows how to run a business.
Right.
Not a overaged frat boy who's just going to impulsively make something just for shits and giggles and hope that it takes off. Like,
right. I always say hope is not a strategy, right? Like that is my favorite thing when someone's like, well, I hope that this works. What do you mean you hope? There's no such thing as hope. A business, there is no hope. You have everything has to be calculated and measured.
Yeah. And today, like, you have so many scams out there. So investors want to see all these basic things just to prove you're a real company.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we as women, I agree with there's statistics out there that we as women are better business owners. The only bad thing about us being better business owners is we tend to not toot our own horn, which makes it a lot harder for us to raise the capital. Like I helped one of my companies, and I said to her, I said, Megan, every day I want you to put a little sticky, and when you're brushing your teeth, say, I am a $50 million company. She goes, but I'm not. No, you need to stand up there and believe I am a $50 million company, because if you were a man, you would be saying that, and he would be lying through his teeth and he would get the money. But when you don't say it and you don't believe it yourself, you're going to have a hard time raising that money.
I agree with that completely. I know someone right now who's trying to raise $100 million fund, debt fund, and 0 experience, 1,000% confidence.
Right.
Do you know who the bank executives love? Him.
Right.
Yeah. Because he has confidence, and they're just investing in his confidence. They're like, well, if he's that confident, then he's really got something going for him. It's like, oh my goodness. And that's it. That's it. Is women want to be, we're so much more cautious and slower moving. And then men will walk in, lie through their teeth, and get everything for 0 track record. Meanwhile, there's the woman sitting right there who has a 20 or 30-year track record, who's not saying anything to self-advocate. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm passionate about right now, is teaching women to self-advocate.
Absolutely. 100%. And not only that, but practicing it. So I actually, we sat there and practiced stuff, on a Zoom call. And I'm like, I want to see your body language that says, like, I can assure you everywhere I go, I tell them, this is a $1 billion company. This BIATCH Tequila, I don't care what anyone says, the traction that we have, just the people just love it, everything about it, that we're going to be that 10x, we're going to be that 20x kind of thing, because I go in there and I own it. And I'm like, no one's going to tell me that this isn't going to be a $1 billion industry.
And yeah, that's what people are deciding on. Like, if you have the confidence and the grit, I guess that's what it boils down to, is they're investing in grit, not track record. But
Well, I think one of your questions was, how do I invest in a company? And really, it's the same way that you and I are talking, right? I invest in the person, right? The idea might be great, but an idea by somebody who can't execute is no good, right? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of patents out there, by these really famous people who can invent stuff. But if you can't take it to market, then it's no good.
Yeah.
And so I actually invest in the person, and I say, are they coachable? So if they're coachable, we can take someone who has enough knowledge but can take that idea and execute it. And then I'm like, oh, they're coachable. I can put money to it, and I think I can help them get to that next level. That's really what I'm looking for, because a great idea with a bad team is terrible.
You just so hit the nail on the head there. I remember I had a few venture capitalists who were my mentors, and there was an entrepreneur, and he was jealous, and he said, why are they mentoring you and not mentoring me? And I was like, did they recommend you read any books? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, did you read them? And he was like, no, it's a book. And it was like, they wanted to see if they're going to give you a difficult assignment, if you will do it. And if you don't do the first thing they ask you to do, they're not going to invest any more time in you.
Right.
Like, reading a book is so easy compared to half of the other things they're going to challenge you to do. I had a mentor, after I read whatever the books were he recommended, he said, you need to accept one speaking engagement per month.
Oh, wow.
And I was an introvert at the time who did not speak on stage. I was like, it was so much harder to commit to that than it was to just read the book. But you have to, if someone's going to take the time to mentor you, you have to meet them there. There was a guy from, he's a top analyst at this one prestigious family office. And he was like, your family's been in real estate 5 generations. I was like, yeah. He's like, I want to learn about real estate. I was like, okay, meet me at this workshop. That's where we're going to start. And we're going to go to this free workshop, and you're going to ask me questions afterwards. Never showed up to the workshop. Asked me later. He's like, hey, I really want to. I was like, nope. If you can't even attend a workshop, you don't want to learn. You want me to do everything for you. And I'm sorry, that's not a deal for me. That's a waste of time.
Right. Well, and I think you and I are the same. We're opportunists, right? If I get the opportunity to be in a room with someone, I'm going to take it. Always, always, always. And you could feel tired, like you were saying earlier,
running on 3 hours of sleep.
Yes, your kid and whatever. But you know what? You took the opportunity and you still showed up. And, you could have said, oh, I'm too tired. But we're not like that. That's not how our brain goes. We're different kind of people. And then that's actually what the success factor is, right? You keep on going no matter what. And I think we said a little bit about this, yesterday when we were talking. What does a no mean? A no means, how can I make them say maybe,
Yeah. Or like you're more focused on getting one person from no to maybe. When someone tells me no, I don't ask one person a question. I usually ask 15 people the same question. And then one of them gives me the answer I want, and that's the person I go to.
That's good. Yeah. I don't know if I do that as much, because I don't really have like 15 people to go to sometimes when I have some stuff. Like, I'm very focused. I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be. This is my end game. How do I get there? And is that person a roadblock, or is he just, can I like run him over with a bulldozer? Because honey, I can be a bulldozer.
Oh, no, I do. Yeah, I will say I have some friends who every once in a while, they try to act like they can be a blocker. And I'm like, listen, if you want to be the obstacle in this, I will remember that. I'll remember you tried to block me from doing this. I'm going to do it whether or not I have your blessing. And if you want to block me from doing it, don't come back to me later asking for help after you tried to block me from getting there.
Yeah.
But usually I'm the middle of 80 grandkids and great grandkids.
Oh my word. 80
across like 4 generations now. So I'm used to having 12 older girl cousins to go and ask the same question to, and getting all of their advice. So I think that was like programmed in me from a young age. It's like, you don't ask one person the question, you ask a bunch of people the same question.
Oh, but you're lucky. We don't have a family like that.
Yeah, no, that definitely was a huge blessing on my father's side, is having the huge family. Like, for example, we have there are these men, they've been in real estate for 40 years and they're trying to figure out what to invest in right now, because in real estate, it's like, it's a standstill if you don't know the right people, that you don't know the emerging markets. And they were like, how do you always know which emerging market, like where the next emerging market is? It was like, because I have 80 aunts, uncles, and cousins, and I ask them, hey, are there a lot of new roads being paved anywhere near you?
Oh, that's smart.
Just one simple question.
That's great.
Fly in. They tell you yes, you fly into that city immediately. You see what else is being done for infrastructure. Because as soon as a mayor is pro-development, pro-gentrification, pro-value add, taking a condemned, gross, dated town and having people come in and make it luxury, that's your opportunity. You grab it, you buy as many buildings as you can, and then you tell your friends, by the way, I'm investing here. But you buy what you want first.
Yeah. I think you need to come to Atlanta. we need some help.
Yeah. I have an ex from Atlanta who's like psychotic and obsessive. So it is the one city on the East Coast that I will not touch.
Okay. Well, I'll have to have you like fly under and come visit me and stay, but we won't tell him.
Yeah. It would be one of those like completely covert, or I'll meet you in like Savannah. Like,
Savannah. Savannah's good. Yeah.
I love Savannah. The architecture, the art school, the trees. It's just...
Everything is, and the food. You forgot the food. Food is fabulous.
I have not stopped there long enough to eat.
You're kidding. Oh my goodness. You have to have the oysters and the shrimps and oh my word. Okay. Next time I'm going to take you and we're going to go in a eating frenzy. It's so good.
Oh, I love doing food tours. I love it. I'm absolutely a foodie. Okay. We got off topic again. So you invested in 15 women-owned businesses over the past 15 years.
Yes.
What criteria do you look for when deciding who to invest in? It's not just, do you get along with the people? It's not just, are they coachable? What else?
Well, I look at the person themselves, are they, again, we talked about the other stuff, but they have the personality to take this to where it needs to go, right? Like
resilience.
They're talkative. They could tell you about it. And again, I'll go back to like the nerdy engineers. I will not invest in like if the nerdy engineer is the CEO of a company, I walk away because number one, the ego gets in the way. And the ego will not allow a person to really take over. The engineer, my experience with product companies and engineers are that they want 100%. And there's no such thing as 100%. You'll get 90, 95, and that's good enough to get going. And then you correct. Like if I did that with these bottles, when they first came out, we had a stopper that was terrible. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do about it? But I'm like, so I get on the phone with my girls in China and I was like, hey, listen, I need to figure this out because when I take the thing off, it looked like a rubber band. And when we took it off, sometimes it got stuck in there. I said, I don't want it to fall through. This is a bad design. And so, but I need to change it quick because we got another shipment coming. So we need to change quick. And, and then telling them about it and looking at it. And I was like, okay, this is what we need to do. Now, what an engineer would have done was not even come out with that thing to begin with. But, you gotta trial and error. And then because you have to be a little flexible and be able to react quickly. And I actually think that's what's going to make us successful in that, we can pivot very quickly and turn. So what I want to see is from an entrepreneur, from a founder, I want to see that same kind of, I guess like things, maybe I see the things that I'm good at. I want to make sure that they're also good in that thing. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, I have a framework that I go through just to see, like, have they done the minimum basics with marketing? Because there are founders who understand that marketing is what makes you money. And then there are people who are like, I don't need marketing. People are just going to see my brilliance and come and throw money at me. I'm like, yeah, okay. So as soon as I talk to them about marketing, and if they're condescending and they say that like marketing and sales are beneath them, I'm just like, they have no idea how they're going to get customers. They are not going to make any money. Thank you. Next.
No, that's great. I also agree with the salesperson. If they can't sell me, how are they going to sell to a client? Right. Yeah, that's great. And I'm going to have to get your book and go through that stuff, because I actually do that. I do that same thing. Excellent, Titans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, marketing. You and I could have like a whole 5-hour conversation on marketing. Like, people think sales is marketing. Sales is not marketing.
Oh my gosh, I know. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a company and they're like, sales have stalled. And like, how often do your marketing and sales teams meet? And they're like, why should they meet? I'm like, seriously?
Oh my goodness.
It's like, how does the sales team know what they should be saying if they don't know what the marketers are putting online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm teaching my team about that, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to market the shit out of this right now, because that's what we need to sell, because I got a lot of it on the shelf.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, a marketer's job is to carry the football all the way until the final 5, like the 5-yard line, and then hand it to the salesperson to get the touchdown.
Yes.
And they're like, no, I get it halfway down the field. I'm like, no, you don't, because the salespeople are expensive.
Right.
They're really expensive for the company. So if a salesperson has to take it halfway, you're worthless to the company as a marketer.
Right.
Your job is to take the sale 95% of the way. So by the time that lead gets to the salesperson, they're drooling and saying, where do I sign?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then e-commerce, has really changed a lot of that. It really is all about marketing, and then you just have to convince the client. That's the sales to the client. And if you're really good at marketing, the sale to the client is a lot easier.
Well, they're asking where they sign. That's what the sales call should be, to close. The sales call shouldn't be to introduce them to the product. There was a great marketer, and he said he's like head of marketing and sales at this company. It was like, that's interesting, because usually it's head of marketing or head of sales. And he said, if someone gets on a call with one of our salespeople and they don't already know what the product does and how it'll help their business, we kick it back, that lead back to the marketing team, and say, what happened?
Oh, wow. That's a great.
You have to give the marketers that accountability, because you get these 21-year-olds that come in thinking they know everything about marketing. They don't even know the difference between graphic design and high converting ad copy.
Yes.
Like, no, you're not supposed to make something pretty. You're supposed to make something that makes people want to buy. Like, there's a difference.
Yeah, I think you're preaching to, like, I just said this to my kid who does a lot of my social. I'm like, this bottle is Shiro. She is a Shiro, right? If I don't see this in the actual ad the whole time, then people aren't going to convert. And we've proved it. Like, it gets lost that he had some kind of video, and I'm like, would you look at this? Would you buy because of this? Please tell me, would you buy? Because I said, I wouldn't. I don't even know what I'm buying, because I don't see the bottle. I see a lot of other noise, and that's the problem. And we've proved it when we have the bottle as the hero, and everything about it is, you're always looking at the bottle, not knowing what the other person is doing. She could be pouring, she could be putting it in her purse or whatever, but you're always looking at the bottle. Now you're like, oh, I need that bottle. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's the same with the book. When I tell people I wrote a book, they're like, okay, cool. When I pick it up out of a bag and hand it to them, they're like, they look at it and they're like, I'm holding something profound. Like, as soon as they're holding it, they're like, oh my God, I need this. Like, one of my friends, she immediately opened it and she was like, it looks like a Torah. Because I wanted the highest quality paper, and I wanted it hardcover gloss. so that it like people hold it and they're like, I'm holding something that's going to change my life.
Right.
But they have to feel the product.
I agree. I agree. The same thing with our bottles. One of the things that I was saying is when women pick this up, the first thing they do is go like this. They go to their heart.
Yeah.
They don't go like this. They go, oh my God, look at this. Right. So what we're doing is we're taking a product and putting it to a feeling, just like you're doing, right? It's a product, it's a book. But what do? They're like, oh my gosh, this is cool. They open it, they feel it.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're taking that product and making a feeling out of a product. And if you could do that, that is what will make you successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And too many young marketers are like, I'm supposed to make something pretty. And it's like, no, you're not. You're supposed to make something that drives sales. Makes people feel something.
Yes, for sure.
Let's see, the next question. So your tequila, one thing you've done that I love is you've made it into a female empowerment movement. How does the brand actively support and uplift women in the industry? We've touched a little bit on this already. But.
Yep. No, so the big thing with this was, again, very intentional. My initial investors, I have opened it up to guys now but my initial investors are all women, of which 20% are minority, which was another really cool thing. And I didn't set out to be like, well, I need minority. Like it's all organic and I love it. And then, the other thing is I wanted to make sure my big thing is helping other women entrepreneurs. So what I said, as much as possible, I want to have an all-female team, and also a female, like my vendors. So my attorneys are females. My PR firm are women. Just everything I can, like my bottle people are women. Our tequila maker, our distillery is owned by a family, but who does all the work? The women, the daughter, two granddaughters and two daughter-in-laws. And so I really wanted to make sure that we really feel like it's something that women have created and they are all touching it. And then, and then it, again, it's because I'm marketing to women. I think they feel the authenticity of it, right? They feel that, oh wow, there's definitely a woman had her hand in it. Like we came out what to do with your bottles when they're finished.
Oh my God.
So I put a little light, right?
I love that.
Again, why? Because we women love our little accessories, right? And we love our little lamps, and I'm gonna put my lamp on. Yes.
My office. It's like
exactly. So and what I've done is I've actually put all these women in that position. My big goal is to make 50 women millionaires, and the way to do that is, again, giving them the opportunity to invest in like, how often does a woman-owned business and a woman get to invest in a company from the very start that's going to be $1 billion?
Have you thought about adding whiskey and vodka to your product line?
Girl, so here, this is where, this ain't my first rodeo, my little rodeo hats, right? This ain't my first rodeo. But when I did my trademarking, right? And again, this goes back to branding. And even before I put out everything, I trademarked everything. Kind of like I did the Beyonce, right? You trademark everywhere and everything.
Yeah.
So we trademarked, and when we trademarked BIATCH, and then also our logo. And when we did that, the PTO is like, you're confusing me. We're just going to give you the word mark. So we have the word mark for all alcohol spirits and agave spirits. So later on, we could do BIATCH vodka, BIATCH bourbon, BIATCH rum, BIATCH whiskey. So when someone acquires us, we truly are a brand. It's not like, so we could come out with and the other thing is my trademark of my lips. they gave us the human lips. So if
Okay.
somebody even tries to, they're going to get shut down.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is
Yeah.
that funny?
You're ready to defend yourself from half the wars that entrepreneurs die from.
Yeah. And again, you know, I remember arguing with someone in the beginning. They're like, oh, why are you applying for the UK trademark and the EU? I said, okay, go back to this one example. Why is Burger King not in Australia? Because in 1950s, somebody like a mom and pop had Burger King. And so when Burger King tried to get into Australia, they couldn't use Burger King because it was trademarked. And I said, now with the internet, people like will buy up stuff like real quick because you get out there and then you're hosed like trying to get into another country. So we did, you know, we did the silence and I applied for it. Was it expensive? Absolutely. But you know what? That is, if somebody buys us, some big brand buys us, they don't want to sit there and say, oh, well, we can't put it in Spain because it's got a trademark violation.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one of the brands I work with, we went to grab all of the variations of spelling the name. And I thought I grabbed it on Instagram and I grabbed the other ones. And then I go back to Instagram to confirm someone grabbed it. And they're literally just sitting on it. And I was like, those jerks. And
Yeah.
we didn't even launch yet. So I'm like still trying to figure out like how did they know I was scooping up that name across social and grab it on Instagram? But yeah. So I'm sure that one day they're going to say, hey, I'll sell it to you for $100,000 or whatever.
Well, you know, the story is we had BIATCH Tequila and then I bought BIATCH, all the other things, BIATCH rum, whiskey. But the one big thing was we didn't have BIATCH.com. So I actually hired a third party because I didn't want to be associated with it. So I hired a third party to go and buy BIATCH.com. So of course, you know, I'm bitching because I'm like, oh, why am I spending this much money to buy it? And my sister worked for HomeAway and she goes, you know what, shut up. We paid $32 million for our URLs. So I'm like, okay, well, all right. So I won't complain. And then we got BIATCH.com. So all of those will all go up to, you know, all the different BIATCH Tequila goes up to BIATCH.com. So we have, so again, from a branding perspective, we don't have to worry about it like BIATCH.com.
We had, I spent a summer working with Boston Consulting Group, BCG, this fintech company, and they bought 20 variations of the company's name.
Wow.
They were not messing around.
Right.
It's just like, that's one way to do it. And there was one variation where like, it was this old guy who literally sits on domains and he doesn't even know how to work a computer. And they had to pay him $12,000 to get one of the URLs. And I remember listening to that call and I was like, oh my God, like that is so much self-control right there. Just calmly getting this from this guy. But yeah, it's crazy.
You need to do it, you know, Adi, they need to do it early because when you do it too late, then the price tag just goes up. Like imagine us, we've been out, you know, 9 months and me trying to get BIATCH.com now, it'd be like so expensive. And it's, you know, you just have to, everything you always, if you really think you're, and I know, not think, I know we're going to be a $1 billion industry. That what I want to do is I want to make sure that all of my foundation, going back to your real estate, right? If you've got good foundation, you could do whatever with the building, right? You need a good foundation. And that's exactly what I did. You know, the other thing is I did PR like out of the gate. And people don't do that. And I did it because I knew we wanted to get the buzz going. We needed that word out. And people wait until too late. And I'm like, what? How are you going to get the buzz out if you don't have, you know, a PR firm and you're not marketing it, and that you have a story, but if no one's going to tell the story, how the heck are you going to tell the story?
Yeah. And PR is one of those things where people don't realize how easy it is. Like they think they need to hire the $100,000 PR firm. And it's like, no, you just need to get on one podcast a week, do one speaking engagement a month, and that's it. That's it. And then you go on LinkedIn, you say, thank you so much for having me on this. And then people are like, oh, wow, they were there. Like, they must be newsworthy. And then people in your network start perking up and listening to more. My software company, we got to 1,000 users less than a year after I launched it.
Wow.
One strategic partnership and PR. That was it.
See? Yeah.
It was just going on podcasts. And then my friends were like, yeah, she built a software company. And they're like, wait, she was on that show talking about it, and she was on that talking about it. Okay, then it must be newsworthy. And yeah, PR, it doesn't just get you new people, it gets the people who know you tuning in, like, okay, this is something to pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important. And like I said, a lot of people poo-poo it and they don't know, or what they don't do is manage it. Like, again, we have a weekly call and you have to manage the crap out of it, right? Okay, what are we doing? What's our how many publications are we going to do a month? Who are they? Where are they? Are they in the markets that we want to be in? Like, for us, we're only in 11 states right now, but we can ship to 43 states. Well, I don't want an opportunity in Utah right now because they can't buy our tequila and we can't ship it there. So, you have to be very intentional. So I want to be in the markets where we're selling, where we have liquor stores, where people can easily go and buy.
You segueing from PR, the domain name, into the actual name. It's a very controversial name. How did you come up with it?
So, and you know how hard it is to come up with a name,
I know.
Like, because in this day of like URLism, like you're like, oh, this is taken. Oh, this is taken. And we had a group text going on. And my friend Julie, she's like really, really good with coming up with names and logos. She actually did our logo. And all of a sudden I put on there, I go, what about BIATCH? And she goes, ooh, that could be a little controversial, but I like it. It's edgy. And believe it or not, we've gotten slack. We've actually got rejection, that, Alabama doesn't like it. So, it's a controlled state. They don't like it. But again, eventually, we'll break down those barriers. And what we're doing is we're redefining the word to mean a fierce, unapologetic woman, right? Don't call me a bitch anymore. Call me a biatch, and I'm going to own it. I am a biatch. I am fierce. I'm unapologetic. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for being a woman ever, ever, ever. I am in the room because I deserve to be in that room. Right. And that's something that I think, we can teach our kids. We can teach the kids that we mentor. That's a very, very important thing. Like you talk about the intimidation. They're like, oh, well, maybe. No, you belong there. You need to be in that room and you need to own it. And that's what being a biatch is all about. And yes, we have had controversy. But the other thing is, I have a master's degree in mathematics. So what I do is everything is about testing. So we actually put it out to 2,000 people. And what happened was people either hated it or loved it. No one was like, eh. So I'm like, ooh, the haters are going to be talking about it and the lovers are going to be loving it.
Like, do you remember when Elvis's manager decided to sell the I Hate Elvis pins?
Oh my goodness.
But he would profit even off the haters.
Right. Exactly. That's smart.
You've been involved. Let's switch to philanthropic for a second. You've been involved with organizations like the Carter Center, Usher's New Look. How do these philanthropic efforts align with your business ventures?
So, again, they're not direct, but they're indirect, right? The Carter Center, I've been a part of, I knew the Carters really, really well, I still know the family and all that. And it's just a matter of knowing the people that were in the inner circle of President Carter. And again, it's more that network of people and to be in that room. So like I didn't say, at least it's interesting because I'm not like, oh, well, I have to sell to them. It's just being in those room. And if you mention something, hey, I really want to meet blah, blah, blah. So how I actually got our distributor in Georgia was I went to Mrs. Carter's funeral. And after the funeral, we all went to dinner. And I've known these two people forever, but I never really talked to, oh, what do you do? Like I just know them. I just know Wes and I'm like, I need to get into, they're like, oh, I love your tequila. I said, yeah, I need to get into a distributor in Georgia. And his wife's like, Sue, you do know what Wes does. I'm like, no, I don't know what Wes does. Well, he's the lobbyist for the liquor industry in Georgia. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay. So within a week, he got me into the largest distributor in Georgia. And of course, they're like, oh, who is this girl? And so Wes and I go, and the president's like, oh, I only have an hour, and I said, okay, well, that hour, he stayed for 3 hours. And they were like, oh my God, this is the most brilliant brand. We haven't seen anything like this in 30 years. And to this day, they've been awesome. They've been my mentor. If I have questions about anything else, they've been fabulous. And who would have thought, going to a funeral and a dinner afterward would have gotten me catapulted into Georgia distribution. And then he introduced me into Athens distribution, which is in Tennessee. And they are the largest distributor in Tennessee. So it's like, don't, like, things will come in a very, you don't even know. Like,
I just sent you the lobbyist for alcohol in Florida.
Okay.
His wife. So
okay.
I don't know if you need that one, but when you're like, oh, lobbyist in Georgia, I was like, I know the one for Florida.
Perfect. Thank you. But see, like, that's the kind of thing, you never know who you're going to meet and how you're going to meet. Yep. It's fabulous.
Let's see. Okay. So the lip shape design for the bottle, where did you come up with that?
Well, girl, you're the epitome with your really beautiful red lipstick. And of course, I didn't even put on any makeup today because I was like running around since 7 o'clock this morning. So, but the iconic red lips, the red lips are everything. And whenever you see a red lip, what do you think? You think woman, you think power, you think Marilyn Monroe, you think like they make you happy. And so we're like, oh, lips, let's do lips. It's just fun. And so I'm hoping in the future, whenever you see a lip, you always think of, oh, BIATCH. And it's funny because people, like, if there's anything lip oriented, people send it to me.
Yeah. Pineapples used to be my thing. So anything pineapple, people would send me pineapples. And then pineapples became the symbol for swingers.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
so then I had to get rid of like all the pineapple things. But like I haven't found like a new thing yet, like to make the thing that I'm known for, because it was like, what do I do? Pandas? Like
yeah. Everybody has something. I have a friend that has frogs,
Yeah, I have a frog on my desk.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, my grandmother had the gigantic one of this in her garden.
Oh, wow.
And so when she passed, they had a miniature version and I put on my desk.
Oh, cool. That reminds you of your grandma.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So with BIATCH's tequila presence in movies, reality shows, and music videos, how has the media exposure influenced the brand's growth and consumer perception?
So again, going back to all of my connections on Instagram, I've been mentoring a lot of the music people for many, 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 many years in the Atlanta area. And a lot of them, most of them are the emerging female rappers, right? And if you think about it from that perspective, with this whole Diddy stuff going on, that stuff in the music industry is awful. The Harvey Weinstein, if you don't sleep with me, every girl that I know has gone through something like that. And I have been so bold that I actually called someone who did did that to one of my girls, and I go, don't you ever do that again. And they're like, okay, Aunt Sue, sorry. And I was like, don't ever.
Oh
Don't
my
mess
God.
with my girls. So, after doing that for, 10 years or so with the girls that I've been mentoring, like things just come back, you know. And that's what's happened. They're like, oh, Auntie, because everyone calls me Aunt Sue. They're like, Auntie, hey, I'm doing a music video. Can I put your tequila in there? What am I going to say? No, of course. And then, it's just credibility. Like yesterday, they're filming a movie at the end of the month at my house. And so the placement people, they're like, oh my God, can we put your product in a couple of scenes? I'm like, hell yeah. Why not? Yes. And,
Yeah.
and it's all about women helping other women, because the women were coming through and they're like, oh my God, that's fabulous. And I said, yes, it's very beautiful. And it shows up really well in the film. And she's had it in 5 of her films now. And of the 5, 3 of them have been filmed at my house. So yeah, so it helps.
Oh my God. That's awesome. I have one of my like pseudo older brothers in the real estate space. Anytime guys try to be creepy, I'm like, have you met him? He gives them this one look, like he's a Russian Jew. So he just gives them this one look where he raises his eyebrow and they're 90% sure he could like devour them whole, and they walk away. But yeah, you definitely,
you need that
if
person.
you're young female, there are definitely predators out there that it's unfortunate. And there's like people are like, oh, the Me Too movement, and like Me Too movement, it only went so far. It still happens.
Yes, it absolutely does. And what the problem that we have with a lot of these women, and I think of them as entrepreneurs, right? Because they're artists and trying to, get to that next level. They need mentors. They need people like us to mentor. And that's the same thing I do with Usher's New Look. I have all these kids that I've mentored over the years, and it's fun because I've been involved with them for like 16 years now. And I knew them when they were in middle school and high school, and now they're having children and getting married and things of that sort. So it's really cool. But they just need someone to talk to. They need someone that has been there, because a lot of them are first generation in school, to get to college. And what happens is they don't have that person doesn't want anything from them. And so, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm just asking them, how hard is it for you to like take a bottle, take a little picture, take a little video and post it? That's it. That costs you nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you, looking ahead, what are your goals for BIATCH Tequila, and how do you envision its role reshaping the spirits industry?
Well, let me tell you, the spirits industry does not know what to do with us. My goal is to get this to $1 billion, right? And it's very interesting because, we're pushing a lot of it on e-commerce. So, we're doing that through the internet and doing that through Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all those different kinds of things. And I think being in an antiquated environment that you have liquor and you have to sell it through a distributor and blah, 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 that they don't know what to do with us. And we're kind of breaking those molds. So when I go to someone and I say, oh, I really am not in very many states, but I've sold 92,000 bottles in a matter of 9 months. They're like, how did you do that? What do you do? Well, and I have no national distributor, nor do I have national brand, like a national retailer. So that's even better. But it just shows the loyalty of our customers and really just being being true to our customers. Like, that's what's really important. Love and know what your customers want and respond. And that's all I'm doing. And so my big goal, we're going to get there, and we're going to get there from the she economy, because from your experience that our dollars matter. The women dollars are humongous. And if you ignore the she economy, there's that woman, you are not going to be a successful business, period.
Yeah. What is it? Women make like 70% of the, or 80% of the household purchasing decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. My husband will be like, oh, the kids need new clothes. The kids need shoes. The kids need a backpack. Like, it's just, we need this piece of furniture. Like, there's zero purchasing decisions. He has a say in the grocery shopping.
Okay.
He does the grocery shopping because he's 6'5", retired professional athlete.
Okay.
So he has very strong opinions about the food, and he'll go to BJ's and like the cart weighs like 1 pound for him. I'll go to BJ's to try to get the same stuff, and I'm like heaving the cart down the aisle. Yeah, with like 2 fingers, he's moving this giant cart with all the food that he's going to eat in 2 weeks because he's gigantic and eats a ton.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah. Anyways, okay. So what are some, you talked about the SOPs that you have. What are some maybe books for new entrepreneurs to look at, or tools, tactics, software? Do you want to just talk? I know we actually have to jump in probably 5 minutes. So do you want to just talk about that quickly?
Yeah. I mean, for me, you know, I'm a big podcaster. I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to successful people and what they did. A lot of the books are written by people who really haven't done it. So I'm very adamant about reading books from people who have really done it. Like, don't teach me and tell me and you haven't really done it. Like, that drives me crazy. Not that their stuff is wrong. It's just, come on.
They give you too much theory. I remember when I was writing this book, the publishers, the timeline they gave me, I was like, that doesn't give me any time to do research. And they were like, we don't want you to write about what other people say they're doing. We want you to write what you did.
Oh,
that's it.
Fabulous.
So they made a 400-page book. I was talking to all of my other friends who have written books, and they're like, oh, it's called research, it's me search, because they were figuring out how to do it for themselves and then writing it as they went. And I was like, they're not letting me have time to read 5 books on the topic and then write my chapter. They want my chapter done within like 10 days. It was a completely different writing experience. They were like, write down how you've done every single project. And I was like, gosh, I don't know. And they were like, here's your framework. And I was like, that helps a little bit. But then I'd have to send to the editorial team. They'd like a team of 5. I'd have to write it down, write down the chapter, send it to them. And then they would ask me their questions. Like, how did you get from point 1 to point 6? I was like, well, it's obvious. They're like, it is not obvious to a junior marketer. So please outline. But yeah, I agree with you. There are a lot of times where I'll read a book, I'm super excited, and the person hasn't done it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love, you know, and I love like really powerful entrepreneurs. I did a lot of research, even with the tequila and Olipop, right? Olipop, how they became so successful. They're a probiotic drink, just like a soda, probiotic soda, 5 calories, but like just incredible. And I did a lot of research. Like, what did they do? Not, oh, tell me. No, I read like, this is what they did. Like, they went on videos and said, we did this, we did affiliates, we did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is what we're doing. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you have a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to seem profound by coming up with a new campaign. And it's like, do the campaigns that are 80-20 and get you a lot of growth first, and then look at creating new campaigns.
For sure. For sure. Yep.
So final question before I let you go, because we're way over the hour. What is the best way for people? We know where people can go to your website to buy in most states. If investors want to get in touch with you, how should they do that? LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best way, because that's kind of like the vetted. Like, if somebody reaches out on Facebook or Instagram, like, oh, like somebody said to me, oh, I want to invest. And I was like, reach out via LinkedIn. So you can look up Sue Hrib, SUE, and then HRIB, or just look up BIATCH Tequila. You'll find us, or the word BIATCH, we're number 2, and you can find founder of BIATCH. But yeah, the best way to do that. And, you know, again, I think that we're a great investment. We've got a great team. We've got great momentum, and we're definitely looking for more investors. And again, it's not my first rodeo. So we're We're on that trajectory. We're here.
What ticket size are people allowed to invest?
Well, we're going into our A round, and we're looking at raising somewhere between 10 and 15 million. So we want a 250, probably $250,000 minimum.
And then with that A round, how far are you expecting that to get you?
Believe it or not, what's really weird is with that money, we can open up more and more sales in the states where we have distribution. And how we've been surviving even with this huge growth that we're in now is we're getting money. We have revenue coming in. We have a lot of revenue. Like in 9 months, we're over $1.4 million just in 9 months. And if you talk to anybody in liquor, you know, they give away everything. We have given away nothing. And just to correct you, we have done a couple of tastings, like 5. But in general, we don't do tastings. We're like, just buy the bottle.
I have a friend who has a non-alcoholic company, and what is it? At once or twice a month, he's at some event handing it out for free. And I'm like, has any of this led to sales? No.
Right.
Has any of this led to distributors? No. It was like, then why do you keep doing it?
Exactly.
He likes people coming to him for the drink.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hobby. It's not a company.
Exactly. Honey, I'm raising a big company. You can't get to $1 billion giving away this shit. So yes.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. And ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed today's story. You have to check out, the bottle has been here on camera the entire time. So you have no excuse to not know how to spell it, to go to BIATCH.com. And I hope that you all are able to buy your own bottle. Maybe it'll have international distribution soon, because I know there's people, some of you are tuning in from 55 other non-US countries. Otherwise, you have to come to the US and grab it next time you're here. Sue, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And everything you're doing for women.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.